All right, welcome. Thank you for joining us for today's live demo. Happy to have you. It looks like we have a few more coming in. Um, we are going to create our first IPS session today. Some of you probably have already tested it out, and if you haven't, then we're going to walk through that step by step. So if you are new to InView and you have an account with us and would like to follow along and create one as we go, feel free to do so. You can ask questions in the chat. I'll try to check those along our journey today and help you all out. So we're going to get started. I am going to stop sharing my camera here and share my screen. So if you guys don't see my screen, please let me know and we will get started. But first of all, really quick, I just want to acknowledge that you guys, thank you for joining us because we have created a feature and a tool for in-person sales that is like no other. And we base that off of photographers that we've went into their studio and we've watched them use other tools and listen to their needs. And so if you do have feedback and you have some other ideas, please share those with us as well, because we're always trying to better the system and make you more money. So stay tuned. We know you're going to get the best sales doing in-person sales. We call it personal sales now as much as possible, because it doesn't matter if you're doing it with someone in a studio, or you're doing remote, or you're sitting in a coffee shop, or in someone's home. So just follow along and ask questions as we go. Okay. Thank you for joining us. All right. I'm going to share my screen. Let me know if you guys don't see it. And it looks like, all right. Okay, good deal. I have some more coming in. Try to admit those people to come in here as we go. All right, so here you see your admin area right here. And not last week, but the week before, we created our first event. And if you have not done that, creating an event allows you to upload your images one time. And with that upload, you can do the creation of your in-person sales or your client gallery or your mobile apps. And those images will lie underneath the images tab right here. So you can customize the client gallery if you want, in your in-person sales categories here. Here's where you're going to see all the activity that happens during your sales session. We talked about that a little bit a couple weeks ago. So within your event dashboard, where it says set up right here, you're going to click on that button and you're going to give your clients information here. So it'll be your client's first and last name and their email address. And I can't express this enough, and you will hear me say this over and over again, that an email address is tied to all the activity throughout all the sessions that you do with that specific client. So their ratings, their favorites, their login time, their sales, their orders, all of that's going to be right there with that email address. So it's very important to have that information. All right, so let's go ahead and use my name today. And I'm gonna hit continue. And then presets we will cover another time, but you can create presets where this allows you to quickly choose your settings when you do your sales setup. So I'm going to skip that for now. Workflow presentation. This is what we've suggested, but we know that other people have different ways to create it. So I'm going to take you down our happy path, but you can pick and choose. You can create your own and add whatever order you would like to. We tend to go this route with a welcome screen where there's a beautiful image that displays when the customer walks into the sales presentation, whether it's remotely or in person, and then a slideshow presenting either the photographer's favorites or the full gallery of images, and then going into the image selection process by culling the images, and then of course adding sales utilizing room view with the images that they've selected. So I'm going to go ahead and hit continue. And here is where you would set up your slideshow. So if you are using InView slideshow, you can just select the images here. Or if you are using Animoto or YouTube or a Vimeo link, you can set that up utilizing this option here. But we're going to choose the InView's images. And I'm going to choose the next step. And let me just make sure there isn't any questions really quick. Okay, we're good. All right, so now in the slideshow setup here, we're going to select all the images, but you can have a specific category of images. So if you have, for example, maybe your top 25 images, photographer's favorites, those are ones that you've retouched or that have some artistic edits to it. You can put those all in a category and choose that. But I'm going to select all these images and I'm going to select images here, and that will put them into a slideshow for me. And then in the ratings section, if you choose to have a rating, you can select some of those users who are used to 4 stars, 5 stars in Lightroom, or maybe another program or where you like the yes, no, maybe, or the yes or no's. Let's go ahead and do yes, maybe no at this point. And then in addition to that, you will choose your initial culling option. So this is something that can be changed during the sales presentation. So I like to typically start with the thumbnail view. And once you get in your groove, you'll figure out what suits you best in your workflow. So I'm going to hit continue. And then this is where you're going to set up your shopping cart, which is the store and the products that you want to offer your client. So when you have that toggled on, you have the option to choose your price list that you've set up. And then at this point, you can show the pricing to your customer, and then the fulfillment option, shipping charges if you're wanting to do that. And then you want to make sure that the cropping option is on, especially for the in-person sales session, so that you can show the client a cropping view inside of the room view. All right, so I'm going to hit continue. And then real view, if you project images onto a projector screen or a television, you have that option to set up real view. And what that does is it displays images life size. So up to the size of the amount of space that you're projecting to. You can set that up and calibrate that. Do any of you on this call use like a live view presentation where they would want to utilize real view? And that's another topic that we might touch on another time, but I wanted to ask that question. No? Okay. All right, so we'll skip this step and we'll do it another time, but it is very, very simple to set up. I'm happy to go over that at the end if you wanted to take a look at that. So I'm going to skip for now. All right, so it has taken all my initial setup for the IPS session and has put that all together. So what we're going to do next, while you all are following along, is over to the left-hand side. If you look here, you have some settings. So we have the welcome screen, the slideshow, culling, room view, and then we get down to the general settings like the selling, which is your price list, the theme, the color, the look, the feel of the session, and then any links or videos that you want to add. So let's go ahead and go to the welcome screen. So if you look here, the initial image The text is right smack against the middle. I have a logo branding information right here, and then our menu button. And notice the image is cut off. So in the welcome screen, you have the option to customize that to the way that you want to present to your client. All right, so you have options for style. Right now I'm in a full screen. I tend to gravitate towards that because I love the one beautiful image. But you have other options. So you can do a framed theme, and I'll just walk through these so that you can take a look at those. And then we have split screen. And then a simple, so if you're doing more of a corporate sales session and you just want to have something very simple, you can do that with a title. Or we also have a mosaic, which is kind of fun for high school seniors or maybe a wedding. And you can edit what images go in there. So if you hover on one, it fills the whole screen with that one image. And if you guide your cursor to the middle, it takes you back to all of them. And again, if you move around, okay. And you edit that by just going these images by just clicking on the image, and you can hit edit, and it allows you to pull whatever images you want in that spot. And you can also set the focal point so that it doesn't cut off any of the images. So that's if you did the mosaic. And we also have image only, where it doesn't show any text, any branding, it's just simple image, and you can choose that image also. Okay, so we're going to go back to full screen here, and I have the option, if I want to, I can add multiple images to the welcome screen, and it'll just rotate through those images that I've posted. But it also allows me to set the focal point of that image. And I'm going to go ahead and do that and show you so I can move that around so we're not cutting off her head. And I can also change the image. All right. So let's just choose a different image, and I'll choose to set the focal point if I needed to. Okay, and so now notice that the text is right across the image and on her face. So what I'm going to do is you have the option to change the title alignment. So right now it's in the middle and it's in the center. So I can change that to the top, and I can change it to the top left if I wanted to. All right, and so when I scroll down, I can also change the fade of the image, so I can make it faded if I wanted to. So the opacity can change, also the background fade color. So if you wanted it to brighten that up, you have that option, and it'll make that image a little bit brighter behind there. So it just, and then if you wanted to fade it, you could do it that way. So there's lots of different options to customize that for the image. And then also you can change the title. So you can add the client's name if you want, whatever you would want to put as the title. And then you can also change the font. We have lots of different fonts here to choose from. So you can change that at any time. All right, let me go ahead and select one. You can change the size, put it in bold if you want. All right, so also the title color, so if you wanted to adjust that. And then also what we do allow you to do is add music. We have royalty-free music that you can put on the welcome screen so it plays while they're sitting and waiting for the sales session to start. Some people like it, some people don't. So you can choose that. And then in addition to that, if you look right here, we have the logo, and then we have the text name. I typically will shut off the text name so that you only have the logo branding. So once you're done with that, just hit save. Is everybody following along okay? I'm going to check to see if we have any questions in the chat. Not so far. Okay. Well, please do. If you have questions, just put it in the chat or speak up. All right, so I'm going to move back and go to the in-person sales. So we've gone through the welcome screen. Now you have that option to customize your slideshow. So if you want to, you can go in and make adjustments here if you want to change it to a link. Otherwise, you can go in and change your transitions. So you can do different fades. We can do random. And I typically take the time per image down. You can put however long you want on there. It just depends on how many images you have on there. So I'll just put 2. And again, we have the royalty-free music that you can select and apply. Sometimes people use Spotify, um, on their own for that. So I will say no music at this time, but you can select a playlist or individual songs. So if you look here, we have different song selections that you can choose. All right. And then also image size. In the slideshow, you want to make sure you choose fit to screen, because if you do fill to screen, what it's going to do is cut off some of these vertical images depending on what they're being displayed on. So I always like to choose fit to screen, and that just, make sure that the images are all there and not cut off. All right, and then you can choose your background color. So if you like the white theme behind or a different color, you can choose that. Right now I have the dark. And then down here at the bottom, you have the option to customize what you want your client to see first. So you just click on the image and you can drag it around the order that you want it in. And then when you're done, you just hit save. And that is done and ready to go. All right, so now we're going to go back into the in-person sales session, and then we're going to go, we've already chosen our culling, but if you want to make those changes, you can do that. But what I do want to talk about, and we did a Tuesday tip on this, and that's favorites folders. And the idea behind the favorites folders is so that you can organize the images in the sales session. So it just makes you look very professional and organized. And so when you go to pick out the items in their package, or you go to choose their album or their wall decor for room view, you have their favorites already there, all their images are in there, and it's ready to go. And also, if you set that up prior to the sales session, then you're not having to do that while they're sitting there waiting on you. So let's just give you some examples here. So we will add folders for wall art. And there's no limit to that because we don't want to limit them how many images they can purchase as wall art, right? But you do have that option. All right, and then the next folder, let's go ahead and add as an album. And with the album, maybe you do want to limit them to 50 images per se. And then gift sizes or gift prints. All right. Okay, so now that those folders are created, you can go in and adjust the ratings and the initial culling if you want to, but we've already selected that, so we don't have to. But now that we're done there, we go back to the in-person sales settings, and then we'll go in and make sure that we have room view enabled. So here you have room view enabled, and last week we talked about the room view direct. So we have that already all set up and ready to go. We have the room selected, and you can toggle these on or off if you want to do that with our stock images. And that's all set. All right, and then we'll go down to the general settings and take a look at those. And I'm going to admit Jonathan to come on in. Welcome, Jonathan. Okay, so in the selling portion here, when you open that up, You want to make sure that's turned on. We kind of did go through this a little bit. If you have any discounts that you want to offer your client, you can do that right here. And there's a lot of new people with this, so I want to make sure that I'm really going through this with you all. So theming, this is where you customize all the look and the feel as far as the colors. So for example, this menu button here is the accent color. So you can change that to any color you would like. And so if you have, you know, your brand colors, or maybe it's a high school senior girl versus a guy, you can set those themes in your presets so that you don't have to do that every time. Again, the text, the background colors, and if you hover over this little question mark, it tells you where it appears so that you can adjust that accordingly. All right, so I'm going to hit save for the colors for the theme. And then here's the branding and studio information. So if you have multiple brands, you know, within your same account, you can pick and choose which one you want to apply to this specific event. And so right now we have InView's default brand on here, but you can choose whatever brand you want. So if you have a brand for sports, or maybe you have boudoir or wedding, you could choose the different brandings for that. And then image display, if you want to show the file names. And then we also have given the option for watermarks in an IPS session. And the reason we did that is because photographers requested, if they're doing a remote sale using dual view, they wanted to make sure that their images were watermarked. So because then they don't see what the other person is doing when they're not sitting there with them. So just an extra security feature, so you can turn that on for your IPS session. All right, so we're going to go back. It looks like we've gone through all the settings. And so now we are actually ready to begin our IPS sessions, and I'm going to run you through that just so that you can see where all of those settings are in an IPS session, so that you can kind of take some of that information and go back and do your first IPS session. All right, one thing to note before we start the sales session is you see this little help button down here with the question mark. When you click on that, you can go in and type in any question you want here, and it's going to pull up everything that we have article and video wise pertain to your question. So we try to get, you know, we try to have the questions pop up based on the screen that we're on, but you could type in, you know, IPS or in person IPS. Let's just do that. And it's going to pull up everything that you need to know about doing IPS in InView. And so when you click on it, you can just read it small right here, or you can just pop it out and it'll take you to that help article. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and shut that and go back. Let me check and make sure there's not any questions. Okay. All right. So now that we have all that set up, we're going to begin our sales session. And remember when I talked about in the beginning applying the email address for that client? It's very important that, again, that you do that because it's attached to all the activity that happens during that sales session. So if you just clicked here and did a sales session right in the preview mode, and you went through and did all of your ratings, that information is not going to show up on the back end. And the reason why is because there's no email address attached to that information. All right, so that's why it's very, very, very important that you begin your sales session with either the click of the button or at the event dashboard right here, begin sales session. Okay, because what happens is the next question is, I'm going to do this order with Michelle, and that's her email address, because you may have multiple clients for the same session. Okay, and you can do that by adding that extra client here. You might have an extended family session, or maybe you have divorced parents or a large wedding party. So you have that option to add multiple clients. All right, so we're going to select this client. And here is where you have the option to choose what type of sales session you want to do, whether you want to do single screen or you want to do a dual view screen. I'm going to focus on the single screen today, and we'll do dual view another day. But I can certainly cover that at the end if anyone has any questions. So I'm going to choose single screen. And the difference between the both is it's the single screen is if you are sharing the same screen with your client. So maybe you're sitting at a coffee shop, or in the client's home, or simply in the studio, and you don't mind them seeing all the behind the scenes work flow that you're doing during the sales session. And dual view is best used to project on a television or a projector screen, or even for remote sales. It allows you to control what the client sees during that sales session. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and begin the sale. And can you all see my screen okay still? I just want to make sure I get a thumbs up here. All right, if you can't see, speak up. Okay, so it's running through the sales session. And if you look here, I have this menu button here, and I can move it anywhere I want to. And when I click on it, it gives me the option to go anywhere I want to during the sales session. I can also unpin that and it goes away. So anytime I hover over onto that side, it pops up. All right, and we have keyboard shortcuts. So while the slideshow is going, I'm just gonna show you where everything is. So here are your shortcuts. These are Photoshop shortcuts, so you should be used to those Adobe shortcuts. And then if you want to go straight to the store, or any saved rooms for room view that you may have created would be here, or any links or videos. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and get out of that. All right. Okay. All right, so once I'm done with the slideshow, I hit continue. And now I am in my initial thumbnail view, okay? My culling view, some may say image selection view. And so every time I hover over the image, it shows me my rating options. I can favorite these items, or I can go straight to the store to order the items. And then it shows the file name, but I also have this multi-select option there. So I can select more than one image at a time. Okay, so down here at the bottom, I have all images, and all images, this will show all of my favorites folders that I've either pre-created, or gives me the option to create folders right here by selecting create. So if you look here, I've already created my album, my wall art, and my gift prints folders. Okay, so anytime I hit the heart, it's going to ask me which folders I want to put those in. And if I like this one for, it's just my favorite right now, I don't know what I would want it for, or it can go in multiple folders. Okay. And then right below that, you see the filters. We have our yes, maybe, and no ratings. So any ratings that you do will show up right there. Okay, and you can clear the filters, or you can select which, maybe you just want to select yes and maybe, so you can just view those. Okay, does that make sense to everyone so far? Is there any additional questions? I just want to verify that we're all doing well here. All right, so let's go ahead and rate several of those. It looks like we do have a question, so I'm going to go ahead. All right, it's awesome. Thank you, Marie. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and rate some of these images. and you can pull them up individually, but I'm going to rate some just so that we have options here. So you can see what it looks like. All right. And okay. So I wanted to show you there's different ways that you can go through your sales session, and we're just getting this set up for you and just running through it. But remember, we're in the thumbnail view. If you wanted to, you can go through and do your ratings like this. And you can use your arrow keys to just flip through those and rate those and favorite those if you want to. Or you can do comparison. So maybe you want to compare smiles or 3 different images. You can select up to 8 at a time. And if you see this here, there's a lock. So if you hit the lock and you zoom in and out, you can move those around together. So if you're checking, smiles or multiple family members and you want to compare them that way, you have that option. I really like that feature. It is very helpful. And when you're done, you can unlock it if you're comparing. But you can rate and favorite from this, and you can also shop the store from this view as well. Or you can simply do a single image view one at a time without the slider. So you'll have to find your groove in which view you like the best. All right. Now you can also select multiple images. So if you wanted to select maybe everything in this outfit, you can select all those images and then you can rate them, favorite them, or you can do comparison. So it'll pull all those up together for comparison. So from here you can rate them and put them in what folders you want. Okay. All right, so let's go back to the thumbnail view. So now that you've done all of your ratings and your favorites and they've gone through and they have their best that they love and you have all of those here, I can show just my yeses and maybes because I don't want to view my no's anymore because we don't want to revisit those, and hopefully there's hardly any of those. And now I can go through and I can shop the store now. So let's just say they want to build out a wall collection. So I can choose this wall collection, and when I go to add an additional image, I now have the option to go choose from the wall art section. So I now can select those images so I don't have to go and search through all of the images. I know what ones they like for this specific options. Okay, and I can change this image here if I want to. Go back to the wall art. Edit that crop, sorry. I know our live demo has taken a little bit longer than normal today, but I really wanted to be a little bit more thorough on this. So now that you have that set up as a wall collection, you can now take that into room view and it will apply it to a room. So you may have your client's room in here or our stock rooms. You can change the room that it's in if you'd like. And here you can also ungroup if you want to move them around, or you can put a frame on them, apply to all. If you'd like to have those framed, you can choose a mat if you'd like. All right. Now you have the option to add notes. So you can do this on the image level, the item level, or the whole order. So here on this specific image, you could say retouch mole. And then here they chose a black frame, number 3. Okay, and then referral. So this could go, okay, save. And now those notes are going to go all through the order. And when you're ready to check out, you will see those notes. So if you have some a client who maybe came without the final decision maker in the room, you have the option to share this via text. So if anyone wants me to text this to them, please share their cell number in the chat and I will text it to them and you can see, what that looks like when on the client's end when they receive that. And the point for that is to share it with your client as maybe a preview of something that you've created for them, or in this instance, to keep people from making their final decision and placing their order because the decision maker isn't there. So that's an option. So once you put the phone number in there, you get a text that markets your studio, the event that they're going to view, and it showcases this image right here in that text. Okay, so that's an option. And you also have the option to save for later. So if you want to design multiple rooms in their home, you have that option. You just hit save for later. And then where you will where that is located when you go to find it later is right here in saved items, and it'll pop up so you can view and edit and make any adjustments if you want to. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pull that into room view, add my frame, hide all, and then I'm going to go ahead and add that to the cart so you can see what that looks like. All right, I'm going to view the shopping cart. So now it shows what I've ordered in a wall collection, and it shows my order notes here in the individual items and the overall notes. So I can now make adjustments. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do an upcharge. And the reason for that is because they're requesting additional retouching. Okay. And you can choose whether that's taxable or not. And then I'm going to make another adjustment because I'm going to give them a discount for the referral. And we'll just say that. All right, so that makes adjustments right there. All right, and when you're done and you're ready to check out, fill in the client's information, continue to check out. And here is something, whether you use InView's Merchant or not, I still highly recommend that you go ahead and choose one or the other because we do have really great order tracking here as far as all the details and the information that you would need to take care of your client, as well as workflow statuses. So if you're doing an in-person payment, go ahead and click in-person payment. You have a reference number here. Maybe you can type in cash if they paid you cash, hit continue. And now that that's all done, you can place your order and it's going to show up in your order notes. But before I move forward, I just want to check to see if there is any questions before we move on. All right, doesn't look like it. So I'm going to go ahead and place my order. And I can print this out for the client or I can email it to them. And I can simply proceed for fulfillment right from this receipt if I wanted to. I can go ahead and order and fulfill through InView, which is H&H Color Lab products. So the quality that you would be receiving as well as your client and the care would be H&H Color Lab. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and show you now that that's done. I'm going to go ahead and go back to my admin, and I can do that from the menu button. Go back to admin. All right. And now in the event dashboard, under stats, I now can see that this email address has done this amount of time for their sales session, and this is their order number. So I can go directly to the order from here, or I can go up to my admin under orders. But before we go there, I just want to go ahead and show you under images and how important that email address is. Right underneath favorites, ratings, and orders, you'll see the client's email address. When you click on it, it shows the in-person sales session that they had done. It shows that they have 6 folders. And then within those folders, they have this many images in those folders, rated images, and then also their purchases. So if you know that they purchased all those images, you can select all of those, download the images or for fulfillment, or you can hit copy the images to Lightroom and it'll paste that into the Lightroom search and find those images. Okay, but I want to go ahead and show you what the order receipt looks like. All right, so remember we did the in-person payment, so you want to make sure that is marked paid if they paid you. Okay, all right, so now all the details. You can replace the images, download the images, you can hit the fulfill through InView button, change statuses. So those are all some of the cool features that we have here at InView for the IPS session. So we'll touch base on ordering and fulfilling through InView another time. But does anybody have any questions or anything they would like to see on the IPS setup and run through on that before I stop sharing my screen? It doesn't look like it. All right. Okay, so I'm going to turn on my video and stop sharing so that I can thank you all. Okay. I know that was a lot. So some of you that are new and that was the first time you saw it, there's a lot there. But our team is happy to, do a practice run through of the IPS with you. So if you have your first sale and you want to, make sure things go smoothly and test it out, I'm happy to do that. But we certainly thank you for joining the live demos every week. And next week we'll go into creating a client gallery and those ratings and favorites that we did during the IPS session. We will take those and transfer those into creating a client gallery with those. So that'll be what we'll talk about next week. Again, thank you so much. If you are not in our Facebook group, Your InView Space, please go and join, because that's where you're notified a lot for the live demos and also some camaraderie that goes on with your peers in the industry, or if you simply just need our support, you can do that. But I really thank you all, and you have a great afternoon. Take care. Bye-bye. Oh yes, really quick. Recording, yes, there will be a replay in your Facebook group. Okay. Take care. Bye, guys.